All right, welcome in, everybody, and a happy Thursday, Friday Eve, as we like to call it. That's Tone. You can't see him; he's camouflage, man. He can't. He's going to pop out. Woo, he's going to get you. But no, that's Tone to Shields. I'm Rob Ellis, hanging out with you on this December 21st. Shout out to everybody out there. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Tone, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, man. Just taking it easy. It's a Thursday. Feel all right, man. One day at a time, man. That's all you can do.
I hear you, man. Here's what I would advise everybody. If you're in a condo or an apartment or living with your parents, keep doing it. Don't be a homeowner. That's what I would tell you. Don't be a homeowner. So last night I'm doing some wash. All right. And I noticed the tub next to the washer is getting backed up. Right. All right. It happens. Not a big deal. I become an expert at plunging. I'm a good plunger. So I get in there, plunging, doing my thing, doing the stuff I always do. I have a little snake. I stick that in there, the whole nine, right? Usually that does the trick. It's not a big deal. In this case, for whatever reason, it was not going down, right? So I did it for a while. I was doing it, and then around like 11 o'clock last night, I'm like, I'm done. I'll take a break. I'll pick it back up tomorrow. So the basin, I guess, or the tub or whatever is about halfway full last night. Okay. With water. I wake up this morning, it had overflowed. So there was a backup somewhere in the main piping in the house. All right. Call the plumber immediately. Yeah. Call the plumber immediately. This is on the heels of,
this was happening overnight. Like it was literally overflowing overnight. How much water did you have to deal with on the floor?
Decent amount. Yeah, decent amount. Got the shop vac out and, decent amount. And then, so this is on the heels of all the issues I had before with the flood from the one bathroom into the other bathroom, which ruined the basement, which Pro Action Restoration is taking care of. So anyway, so that happens. Plumber comes over. I'm thinking, all right, it's not going to be a big deal. We'll get the washer and dryer, which are located in the basement. We'll get that taken care of. Not a big deal. It turns out it's a much bigger deal than that. And we had to run a snake through the roof all the way down through the house, underground, to the sidewalk. And
it's a main line. It's a main line.
Main line. And then, so we did that. But the problem is there's the trap. The trap was not properly put in previously for the basement, for the washer down there. I don't want to bore people with this too much, but anyway, so it's still not fixed, long story short. So we can shower, we can use the sinks and all that, but I can't use the washer. The guys were here from just left. So they got here at 8 a.m. Eastern. So 3 hours.
Hey, listen, man, the fact that you had some people out there that responded quickly.
Yeah.
Or as quickly as you were able to get them out there.
Yeah.
That's half the battle, man. Sometimes, man,
it takes forever.
2, 3. Oh yeah, we can fit you in 3 days. No, 3 days. I need somebody here now.
I know, right?
So the Pro Action, did they handle this for you as well? Or
they don't have anything to do with this thing. This is different. This is a private, separate company. Okay. So they're coming, and the guys were great. It's not them. And they're coming back out tomorrow because it's still not done in the basement. Right. So when it rains, it pours, my friend, especially around the holidays. Woohoo!
Quite literally, man. But everything will work out. It sounds like you got a pretty good handle.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good, man. But it's good to see you. All right, so Tone, couple things, man. Couple things. So we're waiting for the game Monday, 4:30, Christmas Day. They play.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a little extra day. So one of the things the Eagles are doing this week that they did last week was they have a full practice today, where usually today's a walkthrough for a Monday game. So he switched it up last week. He's doing the same thing this week. And also Matt Patricia is going to speak at 12:30. So it's a little less than an hour and a half. As soon as we, whatever we get from that, we'll certainly pass that along as we always do in show. So that'd be interesting to hear, what he has to say about taking this thing over, et cetera. But it was an interesting press conference yesterday from Nick Sirianni, to say the least. Let's hit a couple of highlights here. So he
more like lowlights.
Lowlights, yeah, depending on your perspective here. Highlight. So I want to start with this one because this was just flat out weird. Like he did the usual sort of coaching thing where he fell on the sword. Hey, this is my offense. People are blaming Brian Johnson too much. I get that. That's what leaders do. I'll get into that in a minute, but that's not the big deal because that happens all the time. What I thought was really weird was on that final offensive play when Jalen throws the interception that
Mhm.
Love picks off when AJ's double teamed. Okay. He claims that the objective was to draw a pass interference penalty. Okay. So let's start with that premise. Number one, I think he's probably covering for Jalen. Probably. If he's not, like that's beyond belief. If that's actually what the objective of the play was. If you were running a play without an intent of completing it or scoring a touchdown or whatever, so yeah, let's hopefully draw a pass interference. Like, what? And to me, if he is covering, couldn't you just say, "Hey, look, I called the play, or we called a play, it didn't work out. You got to move on." Rather than that, weird, man, really strange.
That's my problem with him. He talks too much.
Yeah.
He feels the need to over explain and, give these elaborate answers to questions that don't require elaborate responses.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to even imply that their goal was to get a defensive pass interference, I don't see why he would need to cover for Jalen. It's not like it's not like that interception in particular or that play was being overly deliberated. You know what I mean? It happened. It was what it was. People, moved on from that play, I guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't feel like that was something that was a topic of discussion all week. I feel like coaching in the front office has been the main topic of discussion.
Yeah, there's been way more talk about Nick and Brian Johnson and
right.
Patricia and Desai change up than anything else.
Right. So this idea that you felt, and again, we don't know if he was trying to come for him or not, but all we can do is operate on what he said. When I heard that yesterday, and we played it in the final segment of Cilio show, and oh man, it was a hellstorm, from the live chat, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys remember it. It's embarrassing what's going on right now. Again, he has this weird need to want to over explain every decision he makes. And my thing is, you don't owe us shit. You don't owe us that.
Mm-hmm.
They ask you a question, hey, what was the plan? What was the plan, with that play, or how did that go down? Hey, yeah, I called it. Obviously we wanted to get AJ the ball. He's our best player. The defense made a great play. And we got to live with the results. And boom, there it is.
Yeah.
I just answered your question without answering your question. And guess what? The media, the journalists, they're going to do it. They're going to do whatever with that they will. But when you give them this much to sink their teeth into, and this is what he does, he talks so much that eventually he ends up putting his foot in his mouth. When you're one of the things I learned younger is, when you're trying to talk to a girl, don't talk too much because eventually she's going to figure out who you really are.
Less is more.
So, less is more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You ever deal with somebody, they ramble so long, eventually you realize, oh, they're full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what's going on with him. He needs to stop rambling. And that's a sign of nervousness. Yeah. That's a sign of uncomfortability to me. And it's just not a good look. Again, looking for a pass interference in a big moment like that. Well, how do we send that? Now we're hoping the refs save us. What are we talking about, man?
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange to me. And the objective is never to get a pass interference call.
That's what I'm saying. Who game plans for that?
No, you don't. And that's why it's a strange thing if you're covering, it's just a bad cover too. It just brings up more criticism and more discussion about it rather than the easy thing is just like, hey man, it didn't work out. We move on. We all know what the end result was, and we got to be better against the Giants. If you say something like that, then it's just like, boom, okay.
Yeah, I don't understand this need to over-explain.
Yeah.
Over-explain, man. I don't know if that's just his personality. He just likes to talk. I don't know if he's being directed to, hey, listen, give descriptive responses when you talk to me. I don't know, but I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles PR people are having a good week.
I don't think anything's going well. Here's the thing about Nick, right? So he kind of came in under the radar in the sense that he wasn't he wasn't one of these highly touted assistant coaches. So, and that comes, there's two different things that come with that. One, it comes with scrutiny because people are like, who the heck is this guy? Right. That's the first thing. And I thought it was
Hold on, real
absurd when
quick.
people,
I'm sorry, Rob. Real quick.
sure.
Marias Sirianni is 42, not 32. He's a grown ass man. He needs to conduct himself like such. He's not 32. He's 42. Add 10 years onto that. Sorry,
So,
Rob.
no, it's okay. So, but my point is, he came in and people were like, who's this guy? And they all killed him for the Zoom. I didn't. I thought that was ridiculous. Who cares? He wasn't comfortable in front of a Zoom, whatever. So anyway, my point is he came in without high expectation because we didn't really know who he was. Right. And then the first year he gets them in the playoffs. I mean, really good accomplishment considering how bad they were the year before. The next year they're in the Super Bowl. So it's been a meteoric rise. It's been a big time rise, and he's done an excellent job with this team. This is the first time, other than when they went 2-5, and he gave the play calling duties to Shane Steichen. This is the first time since then that we've really seen him under fire here. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure that he knows how to handle it. Now, I'm not saying it's hard for anybody when you're catching this kind of heat, when you're in a city like Philadelphia where the expectation is very high. But I think part of it is too, he's just sort of like, not that the PR people don't prepare him, but he's also flying by the seat of his pants. And then you know how it is. Sometimes you'll start saying something and you can feel yourself going like you're going nowhere fast. And you're like, I'm just babbling here with nonsense.
That's when you know you're talking too much, when you start to hear yourself.
Right.
And you're like, okay, yeah, let me dial it back. I know that feeling when you're talking too much.
Same.
Like, oh.
I've been there. We've all been there. I've 100% been there. I'm there every show.
Yep.
So no, but I think that's a little piece of it. And I also just think they don't have answers right now. They just don't. You've seen it, they're all the stuff we want to correct it in the Seattle game, wasn't corrected. You could sit here and one of the things, and we'll get to this in a minute, but one of the things Nick pointed out was, hey, I think the offense is just as good, but we're turning the ball over and we're not getting explosive plays, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into that. We'll get into the numbers with all that stuff in a second.
So the offense isn't as good then. You know what I mean? Like
his point was, we're running the same thing we ran last year that had so much success.
But that's
we're just right. I agree. I agree with you. From a premise standpoint, I'm saying you shouldn't be running the same exact stuff. Okay. Not exactly the same. But his point was, this stuff's still good if we were just not turning the ball over, basically, is what he's trying to say. Draw your own conclusions from that. Yeah.
I'm not discounting turnovers are bad. Turnovers are bad. Let's make that very clear. Turnovers are bad. They hurt you. They set you back, especially when you have at least two. Actually, especially when you have more than one in the game.
Which they seem to have every game.
Coming from the same person.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
By the way, they have 21 in 14 games. That's absurd.
That's absurd. Turnovers are bad. I think we all universally agree turnovers are counterproductive, right? But to say the reason this offense isn't as productive is because of the turnovers and lack of explosive plays, and then you couple that with saying, yeah, we're running the exact same stuff as we did last year and the year before. Does he realize how idiotic that sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're running the same plays from last year. Okay. So you went through a whole NFL season, made it to a Super Bowl, doing things the way you did them, and you thought you can run it back the exact same way, thinking that no one was watching you or studying you. That's a lack of self-awareness to me.
Yeah.
That's a lack of ingenuity, innovation, right? How can you believe that the same way you did things the year before are going to translate to the following year?
Yeah.
Help me understand. Am I right? Am I not understanding?
You're not.
Live chat. Am I off here?
No, here's the thing. You always have your foundation, but you need, and we all know AJ Brown's great. Devontae Smith's a stud, and Jalen can do a lot of different things. We all know that. You don't want to get away from what you do foundationally, but you have to tweak things. You have to put, there are going to be teams that are going to make adjustments. They all know what happened last year. They know how good you are. You're on everybody's radar. You're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. And you need to change things on the fly if you want to have success. And that's the frustrating thing for me that I hear. The one last thing on this, Tone, that was also, again, I just found the whole thing weird. So the other thing he said was, and this is on the defensive side of the ball, okay? But Matt Patricia is not going to be scheming this. It's going to be Sean Desai's scheme where Patricia is going to be calling the plays in game. Shouldn't Patricia have more of a role in scheming this up if he's calling the plays? I mean, I know it's similar to the way the offense is. Like Nick claims he schemes it up and then Brian Johnson just calls the plays. It doesn't seem as productive as it should be to me.
No, I hear you, but here's the problem, right? When you spent 15 weeks installing a playbook and then all of a sudden you want to trash that and try to install a new one, it's almost hard. You can't just do that, right? And I think it's you can't just completely dismantle everything you've installed and then all of a sudden you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks away from the playoffs and say, all right, scratch everything I've taught you, scratch all the lingo I've taught you. Bring this in. So
okay, but here's what I would counter that with.
Okay,
I don't want you going bananas and just flipping everything on its ear, but the scheme stinks. That Desai put together, it stinks.
Well, the scheme's
you're
not
in the
changing.
basement in everything.
Well, remember the scheme is what Howie and Nick want, right? That Vic Fangio style.
Yeah, the sticks defense, and you don't want to go big play. But if you're going to make a move, at least allow the guy to have a little bit more say in what it's going to look like. He being Patricia, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
no, I get you. Right. Why fire a guy if you're not going to allow the new guy to do something different?
Right.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
Weird day, man. Weird day yesterday.
Yeah. We're not even talking about football anymore. We're talking about stuff that's happening in cubicles and in meeting rooms and all that kind of stuff. This is the problem we have with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They've created such a they've made this thing so much more turbulent than it had to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why could it was bad enough, dealing with the losing streak. Now we got coaches talking about we're looking for penalties. You got coaches getting fired, but they're still in the building. You know what I mean? It's just been a mess all across the board, and we're expecting the players to just all of a sudden turn this around. This isn't boding well.
It just feels everything is so off kilter right now, and that's a feeling we didn't have for 1 second last year with this team. And even though there were some cracks in the armor in the first 11 weeks, man, if you said to me 3 weeks later it would look like this, it's not just the losses, it's the way everything's sort of shaking out too.
Mm-hmm. It's optics.
It's the opposite of what this team has been. And it feels like things are coming off the rails a little bit.
And that's the thing. The Eagles have typically been model citizens in the NFL.
Yeah.
They've been a team, they've been an organization that you can sort of look up to, right? Obviously, they only have one Super Bowl, but just in terms of how they do business, the structure, not necessarily being in the media for the wrong reasons.
Yep.
They've always done a pretty good job of navigating their image in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But now these past, let's be honest, you can forget the Cowboys and the Niners loss. Forget that. From Seahawks week on, they look like an organization that's literally just throwing stuff at the wall until it sticks.
Agreed.
And it's at a point now where they believe that they're doing the right thing from a PR perspective. In reality, it's actually hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nick out there saying what he's saying in these press conferences. How are we making the move to demote Sean Desai and elevate Matt Patricia, but keep Sean Desai and in the coach's box, playing on an iPad. Jalen Hurts saying what he said in the press conference about the lack of commitment from the people around him. Now that I bring that up, I'm curious because when he said that, Jalen Hurts about the lack of commitment, around the building. Me personally, well, actually, you know what? Let me not pollute it. When you heard him say that, who did you think he was talking about?
Who did I think Jalen was talking about when he mentioned a lack of commitment?
Who did you think he was talking about?
I don't know that. I'm being honest with you. I don't know that one person came to mind immediately. Who was it for you?
For me, I felt like he was talking about the coaching staff.
Okay.
For me, I look at it from this perspective. When I look at that roster from top to bottom, especially on his side of the ball, right?
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody on that side of the ball who lacks character, who lacks commitment to their craft. He's surrounded by a bunch of talented dudes who've done their job on the highest of high levels, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
offensive line, they live accountability.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Devontae Smith, you know, he lives accountability. AJ Brown had a rough week with the social media stuff, but I feel like AJ Brown is a pretty
No, you never question his effort.
yeah. I don't question his effort or accountability. I mean, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith have been on tears.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, I don't question his accountability because he does the most of what he's given.
Yep.
So Dallas Goedert, you know, he's a grinder. So
yeah.
I can't say that he's talking about anybody on his side of the ball.
So in other words, you deduce all the players. What are you left with? You're left with the coaching
exactly. I'm deducing all the players, and they have a lot of accountable guys on the defensive side. Fletcher Cox, BG, you know what I mean? Hassan Reddick, you know, Josh Sweat. They have accountable players on that side of the ball. Kevin Byard, right?
Yeah.
So again, looking at the way they built their team from a character perspective, who else could he be talking about? You know,
which is really ironic, Tone. I mean, think about it. Brian Johnson's his guy. You know, I know you could say Nick too, but I mean, if he's talking, mentioned the coaching staff, part of that coaching staff is his boy, man. That's his guy, Brian.
And remember, Nick just said, well, you know, if we didn't turn the ball over as much, you know, our offense
that's a little thing.
So it's like,
yeah.
In those meetings, and now we're entering the territory of assertion, and now we're hypothesizing, right? Could it be in those meetings when they talk about what's going on with this offense, could it be that Jalen's like, listen, what we're doing is not good enough?
Yeah.
And then Nick and those guys are countering with, well, you know, this play here, you turn the ball over. If you didn't turn the ball over here and made the right read, you know, this wouldn't happen. You know, the offense would be better.
Right.
And my thing is like, okay, Jalen Hurts has 17 turnovers on the season. 17?
Yes.
That's 17 bad plays out of how many hundreds of plays they run on offense. Turnovers happen. I'm not making excuses for them, and they're terrible. They should not be happening. But again, I really believe Jalen was talking about this coaching staff. I think there's a lack of accountability in what they've been doing, and they believe they should be doing things the way they've always been doing them.
Right.
Because they believe it works.
Well, and it doesn't feel like things are going to change dramatically. At least that's the sense that I got in listening to Nick yesterday. So, you know, and again, I don't know how much you can change this late in the year, but at least when you haven't been able to score 20 points the last 3 games, you know, in a league where you need to be able to score, you should
They're
change.
Too talented. They're too
something to change.
That's how I know it can't just be player accountability. Like they're too talented on offense to only be putting up 16 points per game over the last 3 games. It doesn't make sense to me. You can put up 24 points, 25 points by accident with this offense. So it's something like defenses already know what they're doing. They already know what they're doing. I think were you the one that brought up Dan Orlovsky and him saying
yes, they run the same 4 plays.
They run the same 4 or 5 plays just out of different alignments or whatever it may be. Like if Dan Orlovsky knows that and Christian McCaffrey did that on the Manning cast,
everybody knows it. Right, exactly right.
You know what, these opposing teams probably spend about maybe 2 days in the film room. Say, oh, okay, yeah, they're still the same. All right, you guys, let's go get lunch. You know what I mean? Like, how can you sit there in front of thousands of people and say, yeah, we're doing things exactly the same way we did them last year? In what world is that okay?
Yeah.
In what company, in what organization is it okay to say, yeah, I'm doing things exactly like I've always done them? They're not yielding results anymore. Meaning what?
Yeah.
We have to change some things. It's common sense.
Yeah. Yep. You would think common sense isn't always so common though. Right. We know that in this world that we live in. All right, let's come back and let's dive a little bit more into the offense. So we're going to look at a couple different things, the way it's trending. We're going to see, I'm going to give you some numbers and you may say at first, not bad, but if you look deeper into where it's going and what's been happening lately, it might paint a little bit more of a picture. So we'll dive into that when we come back. 12:30, Al Morganti's going to join us. We'll talk Eagles with Al, but we'll also talk Flyers who have been certifiably hot and off to a great start. Joel Embiid drops another 50-piece last night. We didn't even get into that, which we are going to get into that pretty heavy. They beat the T-Wolves in a really good test of a game, and they did it, Tone, without Nicholas Batum, with DeAnthony Melton missing essentially the second half without Robert Covington. And you had Joel go nuts. You had Maxey go nuts. And it was really impressive. And
on the #1 defensive team in the NBA.
He cooks Rudy Gobert every time he faces him, destroys him.
Hey, listen, what's a cat to a lion?
Yeah, that's exactly what that was. It's exactly what that was. So we'll dig into that as well. We got a lot to do. So don't go anywhere. He's Tone DeShields. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to tell you about Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Yes, Bravo Pizza of Havertown. Family owned since 1985. I've been going there since I was a little kid. You have Alex and the crew in there putting out the most fresh, best variety of food that you could possibly have. They have 20 different styles of pizza. They have the you name it, they'll make it, the specialized pizza, however you want it. Slices to go. If you're not into pizza, they have fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings. They're also committed to the community. They have fundraisers where those proceeds go to the schools, to the Little Leagues, to any charities. They do an unbelievable job with that. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram at the Bravo Pizza of. They're located at 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown, PA. 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown. Give them a call. 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810. Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.